Hey there, fellow wanderers. Under a sapphire sky dotted with shimmering stars, you find yourself transported to the heart of ancient Egypt, standing before the imposing silhouette of a grand palace, where the evening air is thick with the scent of roasted meats and freshly baked breads. The warmth of the nearby braziers kisses your skin as you step beyond the grand entrance, enveloping you in an intoxicating blend of spices and smoke, accompanied by the soft murmur of anticipation from the assembled guests. Flickering torchlight casts playful shadows on the polished stone floors, and the air pulsates with expectation as you prepare to witness the grandeur of the Pharaoh's feast. This is not a fairy tale yet happened in the annals of history, where such opulence was the canvas of reality. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. Your journey through time reveals vivid scenes of gilded opulence, where not just the senses, but the spirit, is overwhelmed by lavishness. As you traverse the grand banquet hall, every detail holds significance. Here, the elaborate designs on the walls whisper sacred stories, tales of myths and gods, as tall torches flicker orange and gold, reflecting off embossed depictions of great battles and divine encounters. Imagine the sheer enormity of the preparations, vast kitchens working tirelessly under the direction of skilled chefs as they prepare to satisfy the appetites of the pharaoh and his favored ones. You can almost hear the rhythmic chopping of vegetables, the stirring of massive cauldrons, and the crackling of fires tended by diligent hands. The kitchens are a symphony of purposeful noise, each sound blending into a harmonious, industrious cadencé, testament to the art of feeding an empire. And what a joy it is! Soaking in this grand scenery, tables are adorned with exquisite pottery of deep blues and reds, each piece beautifully crafted and honed to perfection by artisans. At the center of it all, the revered roast chicken rests, a crown of culinary achievement, its golden skin glistening under the torches, exuding a succulent aroma that promises the bliss of indulgence. The Pharaoh's feast is an orchestrated dance of opulence, a display of power and prestige. It's more than mere sustenance. It's a symbol of divine rights, and the cosmos itself in miniature. Nothing is left to chance every herb, and spice is a precision of flavors, curated to stimulate and celebrate the apex of human accomplishment. Historians highlight these feasts as the embodiment of Egypt's might and sophistication, illustrating how culinary excellence reflected a civilization's status and influence. Of course, these aren't simply moments of historical note, but episodes that echo the continuity of culinary creation, resonating through the ages. A quirky fact that might surprise you. Among the exotic animals sometimes featured in these feasts were not just lavish meats, but also artfully presented dishes, featuring what we would consider unusual fare, like giant beetles and other critters considered delicacies at the time. As you wander through, remember that ancient Egyptians believed the gods partook in these feasts as well, spiritually if not physically, turning the act of feasting into a divine exchange. The modern equivalent might be a lavish gala or red carpet event, but here amidst the bellows of desert winds and the silent watch of the pyramids, the experience is humbling. It's a reminder that even the mightiest civilizations had their moments of gastronomic wonder and indulgence. Yet, intriguingly enough, in the academic spheres, historians still argue whether these extravagant feasts were as frequent as some records suggest, or if they were more episodic affairs tied to specific calendar events and divine worship. Thus, the truths of these gatherings remain partially veiled, like shadows cast upon these ancient walls. And as you stand, shrouded in a blend of antiquity and aroma, with every detail meticulously laid before you, each unfolds a new aspect of the human condition. The power to not only nourish but unite, to not only gratify but also symbolize connection and abundance, is now clear. Here, beneath the velvet canopy of night, our story begins, at the table where Pharaoh embraced history with every sumptuous bite. With each moment passing, The aroma and allure of the feast grow ever more vivid, playing on your senses as you prepare to explore deeper into this history shaped by spice, fire, and the eternal Nile. As you delve deeper into the culinary legacy of ancient Egypt, you become acutely aware of the integral role that food played in shaping one of history's most formidable civilizations. Imagine the fertile stretch of the Nile Delta, a verdant expanse where the lifeblood of Egypt nourished a vibrant culture that thrived on the bounty of its lands. It's no surprise that roast chicken and bread would become staples, not merely meals, but symbols of sustenance, comfort, and tradition. Picture yourself watching an Egyptian sunrise. The sky, a soft gradient of pinks and oranges, melting into the awakening blue. The first light dances across the landscape, highlighting the mist rising from freshly irrigated fields. The air is crisp and slightly humid against your skin, thick with the earthy fragrance of the soil and the promise of the day's harvest. It's a scene filled with potential, whispering tales of ancient hands, sowing and reaping, tirelessly contributing to the cycles that dictated life. Roast chicken, in all its golden, aromatic glory, wasn't just a dietary inclusion, it was a culinary highlight, a testament to the Egyptians' sophisticated palate and skill with flavors. This beloved dish was more than food, it was a celebration of technique and art, of resourcefulness and reverence for the gods. To roast a chicken in those days wasn't simply a matter of seasoning and heat. It involved a choreography of preparation where the balance between spices and the precise roasting time determined not only the success of a banquet, but also the honor bestowed upon the host. Bread, meanwhile, was the heartbeat of every meal, revered as much for its simplicity as its nourishing qualities. Egyptians did not merely bake bread. They perfected it in myriad forms, from simple flatbreads that were staples in the commoner's diet to more elaborate loaves enriched with dates and honey, worthy of royal tables. These loaves were baked in towering ovens, alongside courtyard homes and grand palaces alike. The aroma a familiar note, as comforting as a warm breeze against the skin, and as vital as the Nile to their way of life. That's right. Let your imagination wander to the bustling heart of a marketplace, where vendors offer heaps of freshly baked loaves amidst the din of barking camels and haggling voices, the sun casting shimmering waves from its zenith onto the sprawling scene. Here, bread becomes a currency of culture and economy, its presence signaling prosperity or paucity, depending on the surplus of the Nile. Now imagine a quirky tidbit. Egyptians often shaped loaves into forms like animals or gods, transforming bread, making into both an artistic and a devotional act. These handmade treasures, depicted in various tomb illustrations, served as offerings to the divine, illustrating a fascinating intersection of the sacred and the culinary. But this immersion into Egyptian gastronomic culture doesn't go without a nod to its foundations. The Nile's floods, both necessary and unreliable, played a fickle host to their agricultural bounty. Historians puzzle over the flux of prosperity and famine, debating the extent of these variations. Was it unchecked nature, divine will, or something far more earthly that determined each year's yield? In this ancient context, food was power and providence, disciplined by necessity and defined by its availability. Your journey through this culinary narrative paints a vivid picture of ancient Egypt's reliance on and reverence for food. Each meal was not just sustenance, but a ritual of continuity, a way of affirming their connection to the land and to the divine, while celebrating the abundance of a bountiful river. To partake in their culinary traditions was to partake in the essence of Egypt itself, an eternal civilization crowned by the seamless fusion of flavor and survival. As you stand amidst the echoes of history, an appreciation for this intricate tapestry of life emerges a blend of necessity and luxury, of community and individuality, woven together in every roast and every loaf, sustaining hearts and minds, transcending time itself. Though bathed in ancient tradition, these practices linger, charming our modern day with their simplicity and grace. Your curiosity piques as you imagine a day in the life of a pharaoh's feast, a spectacle of preparations and practices, each orchestrated with the precision of a grand performance. Picture yourself stepping into the bustling heart of the palace kitchen before the feast begins. The atmosphere is ripe with focused energy, A fine mist of anticipation fills the air with the aroma of spices, herbs, and roasting meats, and the soft warmth of the kitchen fire makes the room glow with life. It's early morning, and the bustle has already started. The head chef, perhaps one of the few holding such esteemed positions, stands at the center, issuing commands as sous chefs and specialist cooks respond in kind. Each task is part of a well-rehearsed routine, everyone playing their part in this culinary symphony. The click of bronze knives working against pyramids of ripe vegetables, the soft thump of leavened dough hitting wooden tables, and the cheerful chatter among the staff create a rhythmic melody that's music to any gastronomic enthusiast's ears. You observe chickens prepared with painstaking care. The finest are selected, plucked, and seasoned just so. Each bird bears the tender touch of those who understand the importance of its role. Cooked over an open flame, the chickens are rotated methodically by skilled hands, the skin crisply caramelizing as it bastes in its own juices. Outside, in the courtyard, massive clay ovens are filled with the aura of baking bread. The heady mix of yeast and grain fills the nostrils, evoking the earthy richness of harvest and home. The loaves will later dot the great banquet table, integral companions to the sumptuous meal awaiting the guests. As the preparations proceed, you marvel at the simplicity and ingenuity of their tools: clay pots, copper vessels, and wooden crates filled with the finest local produce. Spices from distant lands are carefully portioned, exotic hints of cinnamon and coriander blending to create uniquely rich flavors. Each ingredient is chosen not just for its taste, but for how it complements and enhances the others, creating a tapestry of flavor that's nothing short of divine. Throughout the palace, the hum of activity swells. Servants scurry along corridors, laden with trays of delicate appetizers, while the dining area is prepped into an elaborate display of luxury. Imagine rows of gleaming copper plates waiting to cradle ripe fruit, nuts, and carefully arranged morsels, reflective of both nature's generosity and human artistry. Jewel-toned goblets stand ready, soon to be filled with robust wines pressed from the lush vineyards along the Nile. This scene, elaborate yet meticulously crafted, extends beyond the culinary. It marks the anticipation of storytelling and discourses, where courtly gossip might fly as freely as the festivities themselves. Remember, in ancient Egypt, a feast is more than eating. It's a social institution, a place where alliances might be formed, where the pharaoh's wisdom and hospitality are on full display. In such spaces, it's also inevitable to stumble across the peculiar. Perhaps the groomed pet gazelle of a favored courtier mingles with the dignified flair of those enjoying the spectacle. Such gatherings yield a constant interplay of the rare and familiar, illustrating Egypt's complex web of societal hierarchy and religious devotion. Historians still argue whether these feasts always reflect the accounts of unfettered luxury, or if some are rather poetic exaggerations, crafted to illustrate the ideal of Pharaoh's divine magnificence. Reality or myth, the essence remains the same. Every orchestration, every detail of a feast, speaks to the grace and grandeur of Egyptian kingship. As the sun begins its descent over the golden dunes, casting long shadows across the arches of the palace, the scene is set. The banquet room glows under flickering torchlight, and the anticipation crackles in the air, sensory feast that tantalizes, celebrates, and serenades its audience with ritual precision. Your experience of this day in the palace kitchen, though invisible to the guests awaiting their grand meal, serves as a testament to the prowess and passion that went into each detail of this sumptuous event. What lies before you is not just a feast, but a living canvas of tradition and innovation, heralding the spirit and dignity of Egypt's timeless allure. You find yourself drawn to the heart of the pharaoh's feast, where the effigy of roast chicken takes center stage, a golden testament to culinary craftsmanship and a symbol of opulence reserved for royalty and the elite. Imagine standing by the hearth, the glow of the fire casting a warm hue over the plump, sizzling birds turning on a spit, each infused with a carefully curated blend of spices and herbs. The heady aroma envelops you in a savory embrace that transcends time, connecting you to the ancient artisans who first perfected this revered dish. Consider for a moment the meticulous process that transforms a simple bird into a culinary masterpiece. Selected with care from the royal aviary, each chicken represents choice and quality. only the finest being deemed worthy of such critical acclaim. The preparation begins days in advance, the birds gently marinated in mixtures of olive oil, honey, and foreign spices brought by caravans traveling the Silk Road. It's as if the chickens, marinated in those timeless flavors, absorb the whispers of distant lands with each tender soak, awaiting the transformative kiss of fire. This process is more than culinary, it's an art form, a ritualistic dance celebrating the ingenuity and precision of Egyptian cooking methods. The act of roasting over an open flame requires hands deft and patient, an intuitive understanding of the timing necessary to achieve the perfect balance of crackling skin and juicy, tender meat. As the skin begins to caramelize, its rich, golden hue becomes a testament to the cook's skill, promising a taste both familiar and extraordinary. Roast chicken, a dish reserved for pharaohs, was more than an indulgence. It was a symbol of prosperity and power. Its presence at a feast marked the social hierarchy, a tangible reminder of the decadent luxuries enjoyed by those seated close to divine favor. From the throne, the pharaoh could watch the room's tapestry of life unfold, the roast chicken gleaming as brightly as the gold adorning his esteemed guests. While this culinary icon might seem commonplace today, in ancient Egypt, it was a ritual of abundance and significance. The tender flesh of the chicken, the satisfaction it brought, was as much a gift to the gods as it was to manna, harmonious melody in the larger symphony of existence. Light-heartedly, you might wonder if ancient chefs had a competition among themselves, turning the art of roasting into a jovial game among the palace kitchens. Another quirky custom involved offering some of the roast, as well as its bones, to sacred animals, such as the temple cats, seen as messengers to the gods. It's a testament to the Egyptians' belief in the interconnectedness of life and the divine, this gesture of feeding animals considered sacred. But historians debate whether these culinary rituals were devised solely for the appreciation of pharaohs, or if some were intended as more elaborate forms of offerings, dramatized over time in tomb engravings and ancient scrolls. The truth behind these feasts dances amidst the shadows of history, merging fact with the exaltation of Pharaoh's divine image. Standing in the glow of these fires, you are reminded that while societies have evolved, the essential experience of preparing and sharing food continues to unite past and present. The roast chicken is more than sustenance, it embodies Egyptian innovation, resilience, and the celebration of life itself. Today's equivalent might be gourmet experiences at haute cuisine restaurants, echoes of this storied ritual of taste and celebration. And so, as you watch the culmination of effort and artistry that is the roast chicken, you're drawn into moments of reflection. What was once deemed the height of luxury serves, even now, as a reminder of humanity's timeless quest for excellence in flavor, where every meal, much like the pharaoh's feasts, tells a story rich with history, culture, and devoted craftsmanship. As you continue your journey, you find yourself amidst the essence of ancient Egyptian sustenance, the magic of bread. It is woven into the very fabric of daily life, far beyond a simple dietary staple. Imagine, if you will, the intoxicating aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through bustling markets and humble homes alike as the golden sun drapes the landscape in warmth. Now, picture yourself in the workshop of a master bread maker, where innovations in baking techniques laid the foundation for a civilization's prosperity. It's a scene alive with activity. Bakers knead dough with rhythmic grace, their hands dusted with fine flour as they shape it into various forms and sizes. From practical flatbreads for everyday consumption to intricate loaves studded with fruits and seeds for the pharaoh's table. Each loaf represents a chapter in Egypt's storied history, as bread evolved from simple sustenance to an art form infused with creativity and spiritual significance. In this bustling bakery, the heat from towering clay ovens creates a palpable aura of productivity, punctuated by the satisfying thump of dough on countertops. The ovens themselves, formidable yet comforting, glow with a flickering, flamey heart of this operation. The earthy scent of heating clay mingles with the robust aroma of rising bread, forming an olfactory signature of ancient Egypt that's both timeless and immediate. Bread was more than a meal in this society. It was a cornerstone of life. It was exchanged instead of currency, endowed as offerings to deities, and buried alongside the departed to ensure a comfortable afterlife. These loaves sustained the living and honored the dead, embodying the cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth, that essential rhythm essential to Egyptian beliefs. The versatility of bread is remarkable. During festive occasions, it transcended its humble origins to become an indulgence mixed with honey, nuts, and dates to enhance its natural sweetness. Treated as a delicacy fit for a pharaoh, the name Tay invoked a light-hearted note, calling to the grains themselves, as if humorously acknowledging the harvest's playful spirit. One quirky tidbit paints an unusual picture. Bakers in Egypt were known to experiment with techniques, at times adding gritty sand to their dough snot to flavor, but inadvertently due to the desert winds. This sand, over time, wore down the teeth of even the elitier small price paid for the staple's ubiquity. The connection between bread and spirituality is ever poignant. Historians often debate whether the importance assigned to bread in royal feasts was equally mirrored in the day-to-day lives of commoners, or amplified for royal narrative spin. Such layered interpretations lend depth to what bread signified within the annals of Egyptian accounts. Against the backdrop of hierarchy and ritual, bread also served as a democratic element of Egyptian society. All levels of society partook in its pleasures and necessity. It bound the pharaoh to his subjects in a shared reliance, albeit with differing degrees of embellishment. Your journey through this bread-laden chapter contributes to a deeper awareness of the substance and significance embedded within this staple. Bread connects Egypt's golden past to the humanity of today in a reminder of shared reliance on Earth's fruits. As you stand, enshrouded amidst ancient loaves, bearing witness to centuries of innovation and effort, a poignant realization dawns. Bread, in any form, remains the silent champion of resilience and continuity against a backdrop of changing sands and time. Just as each grain is indispensable to the whole, so too does each experience elevate our understanding of civilization's many dimensions, or a delicious nod to tradition, deeply woven into the stories of gods, kings, and common folk whose lives were tethered to this nourishing gift. Picture yourself on a brisk morning, the horizon awash with golden light as you trace the journey of ingredients from the lush fields of the Nile Delta to the opulent tables of the pharaoh's palace. The fertile crescent along the banks of the mighty river is a patchwork of vibrant greens and deep browns, the lifeline of ancient Egypt stretching like a drinking serpent through the heart of the land. As you move through these fields, the crisp air carries the scent of fresh earth and burgeoning crops, a sensory tapestry woven with the harmonious blend of agriculture and innovation. You feel the grainy texture of the soil underfoot, rich and loamy, nurtured by the predictable flood cycles of the Nile, fostering a landscape abundant in grains, vegetables, and fruits. Imagine the sheer diversity of produce thriving in this fertile oasis. Wheat and barley grow tall under the sun's steady gaze, their golden heads swaying gently in the breeze. These are the foundations of bread and beer, staples in the Egyptian diet. Farmers labor diligently with wooden tools, their efforts choreographed in tandem with the rise and fall of the river. Your journey takes you past fields of onions and garlic, their pungent aromas mingling with the sweetness of figs and grapes ripening in the vineyards nearby. Dates, a sweet indulgence, hang heavy on their fronds, while under the shaded canopies of sprawling groves, pomegranates hide their ruby-red jewel-seach fruit, promising a burst of flavor beloved by the ancients. You can practically hear the rhythmic splash of water as the shadouf, a simple yet ingenious irrigation tool, lifts nourishing water from the Nile, channeling life into the thirsty fields. This ancient piece of technology, counterweighted with clay pots, exemplifies the intersection of necessity and ingenuity, a crucial link connecting the pulse of the river with burgeoning fields, and ultimately, the plates of the pharaoh's banquet. Interestingly, you discover that the bounty of the Nile extended beyond the realm of plants. The river itself is a treasure trove, teeming with fish. Nets woven by skilled hands glide through the water, catching tilapia and perch that will later be roasted or salted for preservation, enriching the royal table with delicate flavors from the depths. Transporting these riches from field to palace is a feat of logistical brilliance. Picture creaking wooden carts piled high with fresh harvests, the wheels grinding over well-trodden paths toward the capital. Alongside, you see the backs of donkeys burdened with sacks of grain, their ears flicking rhythmically as they tread the well-worn paths. The charisma of commerce resonates along the landscape, a subtle symphony of trade and sustenance, though the palace kitchens are teeming with the anticipation of feasts. It's the land around you that speaks volumes about Egypt's prowess. The art of cultivation here is more than survival, it is a celebration of life itself, coaxing every grain and grape toward fruition under the sharp celestial gaze that harmonizes with the soil. Quirky indeed, the ancients believed that lettuce was an aphrodisiac, depicting it commonly in tomb drawings as a symbol of fertility, a delightful nod to the imaginative beliefs that often twine with agricultural reality. And as with many aspects of Egyptian life, historians are curious about how regional differences in agricultural practices might have influenced individual communities or dynastic shifts over time. Through these interactions, a story unfolds of agriculture's pivotal role in shaping not only the economics, but also the social and spiritual fabric of Egypt. As you embrace this journey from farm to table, the success and sophistication held within this union of water and toil become clear. Standing under the vast Egyptian sky, the wealth of this land seems boundless, a testament to what can be achieved through harnessed natural resources, innovative spirit, and human dedication. From the Nile's kiss on the grain to the chef's hand at the hearth, you tread alongside the ancients who sowed this legacy for all time, feeling profoundly connected to the rhythms guiding Egypt's golden legacy to every grand table it graced. As the sun creeps higher, casting its vibrant light across the aristocratic garden, you step into a world where scents are as treasured as the dishes they flavor. Here lies the soul of the Pharaoh's feast, the spices and herbs that transform meals into ethereal experiences. Imagine breathing in the aromatic tapestry that envelops you, a heady blend of mint, coriander, dill, and fennel, all mingling with the desert's gentle embrace. You wander through the well-tended herb gardens nestled against the palace walls, a living apothecary of nature's best gifts to the senses. The leaves rustle softly in the warm breeze, their scents released with every delicate touch. It's an olfactory palette, so rich and vibrant that it's easy to forget you're grounded in historical exploration rather than a fragrant dream. The journey of these spices is long and storied, each carrying tidings from lands far beyond the Egyptian sands. Though some herbs like carob, cumin, and marjoram find their roots in local soil, others arrive from distant places such as Punt, an ancient region whose precise location is still debated among historians. The spices from these distant lands, transported by caravan and sail, are what lend Egyptian cuisine its exotic allure. You can almost imagine the vivid colors of sacks, spilling with fragrant cinnamon, pepper, and nutmeg, a market scene both vibrant and enticing. In the kitchens, spices are not merely for flavor, they're culinary alchemy, transforming simple ingredients into extraordinary dishes just within the reach of artistry. Picture the skilled chef's hand, dusting ground coriander over a sizzling pan of fish, or gently crushing mint leaves to release their peppery sweetness into a sauce. It's a delicate balance of enhancement, a whisper rather than a shout, where every addition is masterfully considered. You'll find that every feast offers the palate a harmony of flavor-sweet, savory, and tart, blending finely like the notes in a musical composition. An exceptional dish might be a marinated fowl sprinkled with sesame seeds and honey, whose flavors bloom within the mouth like the opening of a lotus flower, tying the juicy essence of the chicken to the ambrosial wrap of spices that cloak it. Amusingly, among more modern audiences, there might be whispers of disagreement on whether certain ancient spices even have contemporary equivalents, leading to debates akin to culinary archaeology. The quest to recreate these time-lost flavors becomes both an art and science, blended in curious harmony. In this ancient world, herbs and spices are imbued with meaning beyond their kitchen utility. Basil was believed to open the gates of heaven, while rosemary signified remembrance, each herb adding not only taste, but a touch of the divine to everyday life. The Egyptians understood the potency of these plants as complements to life-affirming rituals, echoing myth and medicine. Pause to appreciate a truly quirky fact. We find hieroglyphic recipes examining the use of spices, demonstrating an ancient aspiration to not only incorporate flavors, but also to proliferate those culinary creations through scribes' work, baking knowledge into the loaves of legacy, as it were. Historians still contest whether certain spices were reserved for specific rituals or meals, or if their influence permeated across classes in broader, everyday contexts. Was it the market stall seller who introduced such flavors to common homes? These intriguing shadows only enrich the spice trail narrative, fracturing it into aroma-laced legacies debated among scholars today. As you absorb this sensory symphony, wandering back through time, each breath taken in these fragrant gardens informs an extended perspective on spice's timeless role in elevating the human experience. Whether sweetening the day of the Pharaoh or perfuming the air with dreams of divinity, these botanical treasures remain a cherished component of the Egyptian feaster bridge between nature and culinary indulgence, whispering secrets from the past to enrich both our palates and our imaginations. As you immerse yourself in the ingenuity of ancient Egyptian cooking techniques, imagine entering a vibrant kitchen scene where history's culinary masters work their magic. The room hums with activity, the air thick with the aromas of roasting meat and fresh herbs. Here, the kitchen isn't just a place of work, it's a theatre of innovation where simple ingredients are transformed into feasts worthy of the gods. Ancient Egyptian chefs were the alchemists of their time, mastering methods that remain awe-inspiringly sophisticated even by today's standards. One of the most ingenious techniques employed was the use of clay ovens, or tanners. These kilns, crafted from clay and lined with insulating bricks, were capable of sustaining the high temperatures needed to bake bread and roast meats to perfection. Bread dough plastered against the hot walls of these ovens would bake rapidly, while an iron rod inserted to pull them out, a deft move of precision ensured a swift production pace etched in aroma and heat. The ingenuity didn't stop there. Chefs utilized an array of cooking methods, boiling in large bronze cauldrons, frying in earthenware pans over open fires, and steaming vegetables and meats with reed baskets placed strategically above. Simmering pots, delicate embers playing against the painted faces of the cooks, each engrossed in their aromatic task. The clever use of steam ovens, leveraging the rising Nile humidity for their moist and gentle cooking, was a defining skill. Fish baked alongside aromatic leaves imparted delicate flavors and made for a dish that surprised and delighted with its complexity. Such techniques served dual purposes. They preserved moisture within the meats while imbuing them with the flavors of herbs, spices, and sometimes a hint of citrus. An interesting method involved lukewarm cooking, where meats were rubbed with honey and spices before sealing them in clay and baking. Upon cooling, the clay would be cracked open, revealing succulent, herb-infused dishes, touch of drama at any dinner gathering that surely added to the culinary excitement. This flirtation with flame, smoke, and craft embodies innovation, illustrating how ancient chefs sought to marry available resources with inventive techniques to create meals that transcended mere sustenance. Yet, in a quirky aside, ancient chefs often avoided incorporating certain ingredients that were difficult to source, advising against overly exotic choices, unless a feast called, especially for thema, prudent nod to the prevailing resourcefulness that characterized pantry management. Strikingly, scholars still debate how much of this culinary knowledge was transmitted orally versus documented as written records. Were these ingenious tricks of the trade passed down through generations like whispers, or stone chiseled into permanence? This ongoing academic debate adds a tantalizing layer of mystery to Egyptian cuisine's legacy. The pulse of this ancient kitchen is palpable as you listen to the sizzle and pop of ingredients heated to perfection. Laughs and curses lost in time may echo through the brick chambers as flavor creates a legacy and meals over centuries. Even amid life's transitory feasts, the immovable presence of innovation safeguards its mark, whispering tales of adaptation and mastery from within basket-shadowed corners. Each meal crafted in this ancient cocoon is more than the sum of its ingredients. Every fire-baked loaf, every softly seared slice of fish, tells a story of survival, reverence, and creation, born from necessity, a timeless dance woven into Egypt's regal tapestry. life-affirming sustenance partnered with endless sky and the ever-giving Nile. As you reflect upon these methods and the mastery behind them, today's culinary practices emerge as evolutionary echoes, redefining a lineage stretching back to these hushed chambers of yesteryear, where history melds with flavor forever painting palates along the continuum of time. Ancient Egypt's culinary ingenuity has granted us not only fleeting tastes of glory, but lasting impressions of creativity and resilience, etching whispers of long-forgotten fires into the chronicles of human achievement. Amidst the humming heart of the Pharaoh's feast, there's more than food to captivate your senses. As you step into the grand dining chambers, the air is alive with anticipation, not only for the flavors about to be savored, but for the explosion of music and dance that transforms the meal into an unforgettable spectacle. Imagine the soft murmur of excitement, a reverberation of voices hushed in awe, as entertainers prepare to transport participants into a domain of rhythm and delight. At the center of this sensory journey lies a melody, ancient notes drifting gracefully on the evening breeze. The music begins with the gentle plucking of a lute, its strings vibrating under the fingertips of a musician whose silhouette sways in time with the rhythm. The flute joins in, its hauntingly sweet timbre wrapping around the room like an embrace. Together, these instruments waken a story, serenading the gathered Egyptian elite as dancing shadows cross the throne and minstrels take their places. The dancers appear, agile figures draped in gossamer linens that flutter like banners in a gentle wind. Each movement is an aria of grace, a physical poetry speaking in silent gestures to the beats of the hand drum. The dancers' feet whisper against the polished stone, leaving invisible traces as they weave stories of love, conquest, and celestial dreams. You watch them spin and leap, their forms bathed in the warm glow of torchlight casting intricate patterns on alabaster walls, art blending seamlessly with history in every turn. Imagine the giggle of a spectator, who recognizes the dance's narrative, a beloved tale of Anubis tricking Ra, perhaps. This levity is what often turns such entertainments into highlights of the evening, punctuated by an inside jest shared among friends and strangers huddled together. Meanwhile, jugglers now command the room's focus with their antics. Oranges plucked from feast tables fly through the air, defying gravity and adding an absurd but delightful touch to the night's proceedings. Their rhythm punctuates the musician's serenade. These jesters, with a knack to lighten any mood, ensure that laughter remains as vital a component of the feast as the meals themselves, an echo of unity through mirth and applause. A quirky tidbit to tickle modern imagination is that certain types of dances were thought to bring the favor of gods, performed ritualistically to enhance the bounty of the Nile or successful hunts. Though some scholarly debates continue regarding the authenticity of such practices, there's no denying that the Egyptians loved to incorporate pomp and lavish entertainment into their rituals and celebrations. Next to take the stage are magicians bearing the mystique of moonlit sands, ready to enchant with sleight of hand absorbing an Egyptian flair. The audience gasps, as a flick of the wrist transforms a simple trinket into a semblance of marvel-each trick, layered with secrets that turn the observant more whimsical with each illusion. Music, stories, laughter, it all melds into the evening's tapestry, vital threads interwoven to create the ultimate experience in courtly life. Such gatherings were not merely practical engagements, but woven constructs of socio-political importance where bonds were reinforced, celebrations marked divine favors granted or sought. As you get swept up in this confluence of performance and persuasion, it becomes clear that these feasts were celebrations orchestrated for the soul's delight, inviting smiles to blossom under gilded ceilings. The room alive becomes a stage for the vibrant interplay of humanity and history, captured in a spectacle seen under starlit skies, an ages-old theatre of dreams, playing upon the senses in intricate symphonic display. In a quiet moment, as the night fades into memory, you consider how echoes of these storied halls might ripple forward into the gala events of today. The artistry, the craft, the sheer joy of living, all part of the human continuum, celebrating life's fleeting nature and shared memories. It beckons a promise gently etched into sands of times past, gently reminding every dancer and each note's linger all have their place within the story of the Pharaoh's feast and temple of life. For all gathered beneath ancient stars, magic and meals were as eternal as the Nile's ebb and flower genteel reminder, echoing as the last notes fade into the enduring night. As the echoes of the pharaoh's grand feast slowly fade, you shift your focus to the intricate dynamics of dietary habits within Egyptian society. Picture yourself wandering through the bustling streets of ancient Thebes, where life unfolds with all its richness and diversity. The intoxicating aroma of slow-roasted meats mingles with the scent of spiced bread, drawing you closer to the market stalls, lining narrow, sun-dappled pathways. In this vibrant setting, you find a curious juxtaposition of abundance and need. The elite, with their exalted status, savoured a kaleidoscope of flavoursome mosaic of tastes that weave together the trappings of wealth with Egypt's natural bounty. At the other end of the spectrum, commoners crafted their mealtime stories with similar ingredients but simpler presentations. Here you begin to understand how food mirrored the social tapestry, a form of nourishment that extended beyond the mere physical. You spy a noblewoman standing in her villa garden, surveying the fruits of her estate. The table of the elite is laden with the finest cuts of meat-roasted duck and pigeon, seasoned and simmered to perfection. These dishes, once luxuries, have become daily pleasures, complemented by rich sauces and exquisite assortments of fresh and dried fruits delivered from caravan journeys far and wide. For the affluent, meals served as occasions for communion and discourse, lavish enough to warrant minstrels and dances, like those witnessed earlier at the pharaoh's feast. Their meals were displays of opulence and social connection, imbued with glamour that spoke of access to the choicest of Egypt's land and waters, the chef's hands crafting culinary delights that enchanted the palate. Sidestepping the scene, you wander into the quarters of a family living humbly by the river's banks, where the sun's noon warmth glosses the sweep of simple clay roofs. Their meals are humbler, yet bear a thread of ingenuity that mingles flavors of the earth with family traditions passed through generations. Bread and beer form the foundation of their diet items, familiar and nourishing, crafted from the toil of their own hands. To these common folk, breakfast might be little more than bread dipped in olive oil, accompanied by an onion or leek robust in simplicity, bringing vitality to the rudimentary delight. Fish from the river, gifted by the Nile's bounty, graces their table when fortunate, smoked or salted to last through seasons. Though modest compared to the elite's fare, such meals still embody a culinary narrative all their own. Interestingly, the Egyptian society also reflected a penchant for dietary curiosity, quirky aspect being the fondness for fermented foods. While beer was widely popular, serving both nutritional and caloric value, other fermented dishes illustrated a creative enterprise using microbes, flavoring their diets with unexpected tangs and textures that added dull dimensions to mealtime. Despite the disparities in abundance, the constant in both noble and common households alike was the inherent appreciation for spices and herbs. These, within their reach, breathed life into dishes with a profound subtlety, their aromatic signatures weaving consistently throughout the Egyptian diet. Yet, scholarly debates continue about the availability and spread of such spices. Were they genuinely accessible to all layers of society, or did their usage vary radically, chiefly confined to defined festive occasions for the commoners? In traversing these culinary landscapes, you see how necessity bred innovation among households of all kinds, creating an overarching narrative that celebrated the resourcefulness of human taste flavors and shapes fashioned from Earth's yields, lending identity to an enduring civilization. Reflect upon how the seemingly simple act of sharing food serves as a vital cultural thread in the pharaoh's court, over lavish banquets, or within simple clay houses dotting the Nile's fertile banks, feeding the human spirit as much as the body. Modern echoes of this reflection may be seen in the global flair of today's dinner tables, where the humble and extravagant mirror tales born from fields and fires, just as ancient artisans once ordained. In these timeless mealtime rituals, life is reaffirmed, dance of necessity and pleasure, painted across kitchens and tables, where history meets the present, in a shared celebration, a banquet, connecting hearts along the endless strand of time. Your exploration into the heart of ancient Egyptian feasting leads you to the world of libations, where wine and other beverages play roles as important as any dish in the lavish spreads of the elite. Imagine stepping into a storied vineyard under the Egyptian sun, the light refracting through plump clusters of grapes soaking up the heat. Vines stretch across the landscape, tended by careful hands that appreciate the alchemy, turning fruit into the nectar, beloved by pharaohs and commoners alike. In these bountiful vineyards along the Nile, grapes are harvested at their peak, their sugars promising the richness that ancient Egyptians would soon savor. Typically carried in large baskets, the harvest would then be spread beneath the sun's warmth softened under Helios's gaze, before being pressed by skilled workers to release their vibrant juices into vats lined for fermentation. It's a scene filled with both joy and precision, each step crucial to creating wine that will add a gentle grace to Egypt's storied gatherings. Follow the journey from vine to vessel, where the fermenting juice takes on a life of its own, resting in clay amphorae, buried in cool sands, to slowly transform into complex elixirs over weeks. Time and skill knit together to cultivate flavors, subtle yet sumptuous aromas, rising as you pull the stopper and experience the bouquet now synonymous with leisure and divine toast. In the opulent banqueting halls of the Pharaoh, wine pours freely into golden goblets, the liquid shimmering under torchlighter, testament to the elevated status of those who gather there. It is more than a drink. It becomes a medium of conversation, a social lubricant that complements the mirth and intrigue of powerful patrons and savvy merchants gossiping over sips of enchantment. In parallel, beer a quintessential staple for both commoner and royal flows from wide-mouthed jugs. Crafted from locally grown barley, its creation brings about a simpler but equally necessary indulgence. Imagine the sweetened aroma of fermentation, the careful blend of malted grains, and the hearty foam forming on the surface. A labor of love, not bound by wealth, but by ritual and sustenance. The Egyptians' skill with these beverages extends beyond enjoyment to elements of mystique and ritual. For wine, where particularly revered vintages are marked with seals denoting the year, vineyard, and even quality, a curious precursor to the vintage charts of modern connoisseurs. Each characteristic adopted and adapted through ages, reflecting a continuity of taste crafted to quench the thirst of legacy itself. Historians still argue the extent to which specific roles were, particularly prestigious wines, exclusively reserved for religious rites, or did they find themselves inscribed onto everyday life within society's upper crust? This scholarly debate enhances the allure of Egyptian wines, their historical resonance sealed as surely as any amphora lid. And then, woven amidst this tapestry, is the quirky tale of Egyptian artists who often depicted daily wine consumption in their vivid tomb paintings. While some scenes showed joyous harvests or extended drinking parties, the humorous exaggerations of drunken revelries suggest both adoration and cautionary tales of indulgence intertwined. As you reflect on these libations, it becomes evident that they form an integral part of Egypt's social tapestry, liquid witnesses to agreements forged and alliances strengthened. They remind you that beyond the moisture lies the measure, shaping narrative edges where society meets its boundless aspirations, often with a raised cup in hand. The intimate exchange of clinking goblets can be sensed across time, whispers of ancient echoes, continually infused with camaraderie and celebration. Let your imagination savor the warmth of a perfectly developed vintage, or the hearty, down-to-earth notes of barley brew as they ripple through centuries, joining palates across epochal expressions of the indelible human pursuit to gather, share, and celebrate life's abundance together. As the dining room hums with the last echoes of laughter and clinking goblets, you delve deeper into the social and religious significance of these lavish feasts. In ancient Egypt, a feast transcended mere culinary indulgence. It was a ritual infused with symbolism, a microcosm of societal values and spiritual beliefs, played out in an elaborate theatre of abundance. In this era, gathering for a feast was an act of communion, reflecting the careful choreography of societal hierarchies. The very arrangement of seats at the table was a strategic design, with those closest to the pharaoh basking in his favor and influence. To be invited to such an event was a matter of prestige, a gesture affirming one's place in the intricate web of social alliances and political power. Consider the opulent hall, where every detail from tableware to the food itself was imbued with meaning. Golden plates and goblets signified divine tribute, their gleam under torchlight a reminder that among the revelry, gods silently observed. The toast raised to the heavens was as much a prayer as it was a celebration, a spoken contract with the divine, aimed at ensuring continued blessings and prosperity. Reflect on the profound connection between food and spirituality in Egyptian culture. Feasts often coincided with sacred festivals, symbiotic events, designed to honor deities like Hathor, the goddess of love and fertility. Through abundant spreads and joyous gatherings, participants sought to echo divine bounty and rhythm, celebrating life's continuance under celestial auspices. The resonance of drumbeats and songs blending with prayers was a sonic reflection of this intertwined cosmic dance. Historians, with keen interest, discuss whether all feasts were primarily religious observances, or if this was an overlay applied selectively by those chronicling Egypt's golden law. Could it be that some were solely secular affairs later romanticized by scribes as intertwined with the divine? This debate adds depth to the elaborate nature of these gatherings, where life fused seamlessly with the sacred in episodes of joy and camaraderie. The meals served, too, were often chosen with symbolic intent. Fish from the Nile symbolized life's persistence across the turbulent flow of time, while beef, rare and revered, was an offering of wealth. Certain vegetables, like the revered onion, were emblematic of divine eternity, thanks to their concentric layers, a quirky insight on Egyptians' talent for imbuing the mundane with deeper significance. Between courses, the sonorous tones of a scribe, reading from sacred texts, might wash over the assembly, with tales of gods and goddesses woven into the evening's narrative. These moments were not merely for entertainment, but served to reinforce communal values, offering moral and spiritual guidance through storied allegories. As you stand under the canopy of torchlit shadows, you understand that each feast was a carefully woven tapestry, not just enlivened by flavor, but bound together by sacred traditions that reflected life's interconnectedness. The revelry resonated beyond the halls, signaling both a celebration of now and a collective hope for divine favor to cement Egypt's legacy upon eternity's scrolls. In modern parallels, think of gala events or traditional holiday gatherings as echoing this union of community and belief that coming together in gratitude, in reflection, extends beyond the feast onto the broader canvas of human ritual, binding past and present through common expressions of unity and gratitude. To participate in an ancient Egyptian feast was to witness the very essence of life's cyclical journey, echoed through song, dance, and shared sustenance. It was a celebration acknowledging the delicate balance between mankind's place in the cosmos and the divine will guiding its course, etched anew in the glow of each shared meal, a memory, both transient and eternal. Through the dynamism of these gatherings, one feels the pulsing heart of Egypt, embedding each shared bite into the pantheon of storied legacies, alive within each smiling heart's yearning for the eternal. As the soft glow of torchlight fades into the early hours, your journey leads you beyond the opulent halls of pharaohs and into the modest courtyards and homes where commoners gather for their own celebration, smaller in scale, perhaps, but no less rich in spirit and warmth. Here, the essence of a feast takes on a universal quality, binding people together in joy and gratitude, no matter their station in life. Imagine a simple abode illuminated by the gentle gleam of an oil lamp, its dim light casting soft shadows across the faces of a family seated around a low table. Laughter and conversation flow freely, creating a tapestry of sound woven with the occasional clink of clay plates and jugs. There's a coziness to the scene, a reminder that at its heart, a feast is about camaraderie, a shared experience that transcends the boundaries of circumstance. The fare may be simpler, yet it dances with the love and care of those who prepared it. The centerpiece of the meal is a fragrant stew, rich with pulses and seasonal vegetables, simmering slowly over the hearth. The aroma rises to greet each guest as they break apart warm loaves of flatbread, using them to scoop up the rich flavors captured within each bubbling pot. It is a meal crafted from the earth, a testament to the inspiration drawn from nature's bounty, even when restricted by meager means. For drinks, a jug of beer is shared among the group, its fermented fluster a familiar blessing and cheer upon the weary. Not forgotten is the occasional indulgence when circumstances allow a special date cake, sticky with sweet syrup, presented with proud smiles as an edible symbol of life's richness. Amid the cheer of this informal gathering, stories are shared with an animated passion, tales that carry lessons, humor, and history across the lips of storytellers old and young. These oral traditions, passed down through generations, transform the feast into a bridge between past and futura, reminder of the resilience and continuity within everyday life. Light the room a touch brighter, and you might catch a quirky game or two unfolding, bringing laughter and friendly competitiveness to this gathering. Games played with knucklebones or local crafts are interwoven with the rhythm of conversation, adding a playful element to the proceedings, a delight still cherished the world over. Interestingly, historians reconstructing these casual settings discuss how closely intertwined these activities were with the festivities in Egyptian cultural heritage, contrasting and comparing them to the more ritualized entertainments of the elite. It's easy to marvel at how these moments of collective joy resonate across time, how the same laughter, the shared hopes and dreams painted in ancient shades, continue to echo through modern celebrations, wherever friends and families cherish each other's company, uniting through food and storytelling in ways that breathe life into each shared night. Academic debate occasionally touches upon these humble gatherings, questioning whether much of the festivities' spirit we regard today is enlivened through enhanced archaeological narratives by scholars who describe them with their true parallels in socio-cultural engagement between commoner and elite feasts, or is the divergence much broader than documents suggest? As you reflect upon the interplay of the modest and magnificent, the intricate dance between sustenance and celebration becomes evident. Beneath the glowing sky, these ancient feast correspondences reveal how people of all walks, whether huddled by a humble hearth or reclined within gilded halls, experienced the same enduring human connection, a tale as timeless as it is universal. In this world of intimate gatherings and cherished myth, the quiet power of a feast rests not in its opulence, but in the shared bonds forged over whispered hopes and joyous laughter. It reminds you that while our lives may vary upon lines of wealth and fate, the spirit of togetherness and gratitude, the marrow of the feast, remains steadfast in all our hearts, whispering once more across the expanse of time. As you wander further into the intricate workings of palace life, you uncover the lives of those who toil behind the scenes to orchestrate the grand Pharaoh's feast. These unspoken Hirostha, kitchen staff and servants are the silent architects of culinary splendor, their labor and dedication breathing life into the opulent banquets celebrated within the golden halls of Egypt's elite. Imagine stepping into the palace's bustling kitchens, an oasis of controlled chaos that hums like a finely tuned instrument. The air crackles with energy as cooks, kitchen aides, and servants move with disciplined precision, their footsteps, a metronome, marking the rhythm of preparations undertaken countless times, yet unique with each performance. In the heart of this industrious hive, you find the head chef, a maestro conducting an orchestra of culinary symphony. The chef marshals the kitchen brigade, with commands as sharp as the knives in hand, orchestrating a delicate balance between chaos and creativity as ingredients transform majestically before their eyes. Each cook specializes in a particular segment of the feast, from delicate pastries to perfectly roasted meats, ensuring that all dishes reach the banquet tables at precisely the right moment, their flavors as vibrant as the land from which they sprang. Augmenting this production are the skilled precursor team of artisans whose warm hands coax miraculous loaves from roaring ovens. Imagine them, hands dusted with soft flour, crafting an array of breads to accompany both simple meals and elaborate feasts. The scent of freshly baked bread mingles with the aromas of roasted spices, a heady fusion that envelops the senses in an embrace of nostalgia and anticipation. Meanwhile, in the wings of the kitchen, servants bustle, their purposeful movements rippling through the fabric of the evening. Clad in simple garments, they weave seamlessly through corridors, balancing trays laden with delicacies and carafes of wine. Each step is a practiced gesture to ensure the smooth passage of sustenance from kitchen to Pharaoh's table, their dedication underscoring the intricacies of dining protocol. You notice a quirky yet essential contingent of this culinary workhouse children who assist by fetching, carrying, and ensuring essential supplies remain at the ready. Though their hands are small, each task contributes to the integrity of the feast, instilling lessons of community and dexterity that would serve them well throughout their lives. The collective expertise and camaraderie of the kitchen staff create something akin to a family. Each member's knowledge and dedication, a valuable asset, each celebration a labor of love resonating across bustling chambers. And in return for their tireless commitment, the servants share the intangible rewards of community bonds, forged in the shared endeavor of crafting moments of wonder and remembrance in each banquet's passing. Scholars often debate the precise dynamics of these kitchens. Did the chefs of such grand households command the same prestige as warriors or scribes had done? How did innovation spread within these sacred halls, mastering the blend of learned technique and spontaneous creativity to enrapture the discerning palates of the elite? These are narratives surging with texture and set in currents tracing along Egypt's intricate social tapestry. Reflecting upon the rich mosaic of this vibrant kitchen, you recognize their labors for what they have always been, a testament to dedication and artistry, played out across time-bound fires. Through each meal crafted with care, they not only sustain the bodies sat around royal tables, but also weave subtle layers of connection between people and traditions. In today's world, the kitchen remains a haven of teamwork, evolution, and invention, a place where skill meets heart as creativity dances with flames under willing eyes. These timeless threads, woven by hands ages old, remind us of a universal truth: beneath noble platters and cherished satisfaction lies a tapestry of history penned by humble artists, serving life's every feast. As the embers in the ancient kitchens glow, so too does the light of this sacred duty illuminate the path forward, a flicker of understanding binding past and present, chronicling the enduring spirit of those who transform ingredients into stories etched into memory's waiting ledger. Amidst whispers of fork and fire, every dish remains a tribute to the unsung alchemists, still shaping Egypt's endless legacy with the heartbeat of their craft. As the echoes of laughter and the clinking of goblets from the Pharaoh's banquet hall recede into memory, you explore the philosophies of food that underpinned ancient Egyptian society. Here, dining wasn't merely an act of sustenance, it was a deeply spiritual experience, reflecting a complex tapestry of beliefs, cultural philosophies, and social order. Envision yourself in a scholar's study, the sun casting gentle rays across papyrus scrolls, each lined with hieroglyphs, recounting tales of gods and the sacred role of nourishment. Within these scripts lie the philosophies that govern life and death, abundance and scarcity, and the eternal dance between sustenance and spirituality. In ancient Egypt, food represented the gods' gifts to humanity. Agricultural abundance was seen as a divine blessing, a communication of favor from deities like Osiris, god of fertility and resurrection. His myth echoed in the cycles of planting and harvesting that sustained life along the Nile. The Egyptians believed deeply that by partaking of the earth's bounty, one was partaking in divine benevolencia, concept that transcended mere consumption into a sacred ritual of existence. Central to this was the understanding of balance, embodied in Ma'at, the goddess symbolizing order, justice, and harmony. The philosophies of Egyptian life emphasized equilibrium not just within the grand cosmos, but also in daily life and its rituals. This ethos was reflected in their diet, which sought harmony through a balanced array of foodstuffs, offering nourishment that was as much about spiritual fulfillment as it was about physical sustenance. Mealtime was infused with ritual and symbolism. Each grain of wheat, each drop of oil, carried meaning, a communication from the divine, acknowledging the cycle of life and the immutable connection between the earth and its inhabitants. This ritual observance extended to the afterlife. Tombs were adorned with images of meals, depictions intended to nourish the spirit in eternity, ensuring a continued existence filled with abundance. Diving into a lighter vein, think of the ancient Egyptians' delight in wonder. Their festivals sometimes featured mock feasts where performers played gluttonous characters, a comedic portrayal illustrating human folly. Such playful narratives allowed society to reflect upon excess through humor, yet served as a reminder of the path leading back to balance and moderation. Historians still discuss extensiveness with which these food philosophies permeated everyday lives versus being confined to elite classes or ceremonies. Did the average Egyptian farmer feel connected to these ideals as deeply, or was this narrative shaped mainly by scribes interpreting higher society ethos? This remains a topic that adds intriguing layers to our understanding of ancient mindsets. Amid these cultural philosophies, food acted as a powerful mediator bridge between human life and divine blessing. Each meal reaffirmed this flow of energy, a cycle that encapsulated the heart of Egyptian wisdom, the understanding that life is sustained through a sacred relationship with the world around them. Reflecting on this ancient wisdom, it becomes clear that food's role stretches far beyond the functional, reaching into the realms of belief and identity. Today's global culinary scene, with its ties to tradition and innovation, carries forth these echoes of the past. Each dish, a conversation with the divine. Each meal, an opportunity to honor the roots of our shared humanity. As you ponder this intricate relationship, you see the subtle wisdom imparted by these ancient hieroglyphs, the acknowledgement that through nourishing the body, one enriches the spirit, maintaining the balance of life encapsulated by Mart's graceful guidance. As the candlelight flickers gently across the parchment, you feel connected to those who first scribed these philosophies onto scrolls and wall street tellers of their own time, whispering to us across centuries through the language of food, reminding us of the eternal ties that bind us each to the earth, to one another, and to the gods who watch over our feasts. As you venture deeper into the culinary annals of ancient Egypt, an intriguing aspect surfaces: the medicinal uses of food, where diet and healing intertwined in the rhythms of daily life. Here, the kitchen served not only as a place of nourishment, but also as a sanctuary of Medicinal herbal apothecary, where the boundaries between meal and medicine were frequently blurred. Picture yourself standing at the entrance of a bustling marketplace, an open-air pharmacy under the Egyptian sun. Merchants hawk vibrant produce and exotic spices, while nearby apothecaries dispense remedies from well-worn scrolls, detailing wisdom drawn from centuries of observation and practice. The narratives of these scrolls speak to a profound understanding of the natural world's healing powers, where every herb, grain, and root holds within it the potential for health and harmony. In your journey through this marketplace, you notice the ubiquitous garlic and onions, believed to be natural antibiotics and crucial to immune support. Their pungent presence is not merely staple, it's essential, a lifetime ally against ailments as perceived by physicians and physicians of the time. You can imagine the sizzling sound of garlic and onion being sautéed, the aroma pervading both home and temple, each dish infused with intention. The healing properties of honey are also widely cherished, golden, viscous, and precious. Aside from its culinary sweetness, honey serves as an antiseptic to treat wounds and soothe sore throats. Envision yourself dipping crusty bread into honey's soft amber hueno, just a treat but a restorative offering, a natural elixir of vitality par excellence. These medicinal recipes are part of a comprehensive approach to health that ancient Egyptians embraced. They understood the qualities of various ingredients, concoction potions, poultices, and teas that elevated remedies to the status of revered knowledge, passed down from elder to apprentice like sacred rites. Fruit, too, bore both nutritional and remedial virtue. Figs and dates, recognized for their fiber and natural sugars, were often consumed to ease digestion, constituting a prevalent treatment for an ailment-racked stomach, alongside haroremshta, the draught, elecula, which combined herbs and water to purify and soothe. A fascinating aspect arises with the use of certain spices to ward off evil spirits as much as a diagnosis or a cure. As you imagine, these bold, fragrant items gained a significance beyond flavor, melding spiritual protection with their role in traditional treatments, a quirk of perspective that rendered each meal a dance of balancing earthly ailments with celestial intervention. Yet, historians ponder the effectiveness of these restorative diets compared to modern medical standards. How much did ancient nutritional cures truly affect outcomes versus placebo or psychosomatic responses? Such debates infuse these traditions with even greater enigmatic vitality. Through your exploration, you find that the Egyptian approach to health, through food, a holistic philosophy with echoes strong in today's nutrition, Science reflects an understanding of balance and harmony, embraced millennia ago, speaking continuity from ancient banks of the Nile. In this living embodiment of tradition, you see a kinship with modern concepts of wellness, where mind, body, and spirit align through conscious choices. The footprints they leave are not just within recipes, but in the heart's understanding. Life, after all, is interwoven paths of sustenance, creation, and healing united. As you take in the colorful cacophony of this marketplace, you become aware of the blending of cultures through trade, knowledge diffusing across borders, bringing together brothers by choice and nature. It reminds you that even today, as we peer into time's welcomed libraries, the wisdom of ancient kitchens continues to nurture our aspirations and growth, a shared journey where every meal offers not only life, but the whispered choice of wellness written upon our hearts. Journeying into the remarkable symbiosis of cuisine and cure, the spirit once again reminds you through every warm hearth and vibrant table how intricately the sacred tale of nourishment and healing remains painted across humanity's skyward gaze. As you traverse the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian culinary practices, you encounter the intriguing art of food preservation and storage. In a land where the fertile Nile provided bountiful harvests, the ingenious strategies used to safeguard and extend the life of this abundance are nothing short of remarkable. The Egyptians, gifted with an understanding of earth and elements, evolved methods that would secure sustenance through lean seasons, empowering their civilization to thrive. Picture yourself beside a granary, its towering mud brick walls cool against the sun's intensity as it stands as a guardian of surplus grains. These structures, strategically placed within every village, were fundamental to ensuring the survival of communities, meticulously constructed to keep out pests and moisture, preserving the precious harvest within. Filled with wheat, barley, and fruits of the land, each granary was more than a storage facility. It was emblematic of Egypt's foresight and preparation. Salt, the ancient world's preserver of life, played an indispensable role in food storage. You can almost feel the granules running through your fingers, coarse yet invaluable. Salt's dehydrating magic allowed Egyptians to cure and preserve meat and fish, transforming fresh catches from the Nile into long-lasting provisions. Image salted fish lining wooden racks, drying slowly under the sun, their silvery skin crusted with salt-stored promise of nourishment retained through time. For fruits and vegetables, drying became an art form. Grapes turned to raisins. Figs and dates became nature's medals of sweetness, taught to withstand the season's selective grace. You might envision large woven baskets positioned outside homes, heaped with bounties being converted into more durable forms. The sun's embrace and attentive care, working in tandem to achieve preservation without the need for modern contrivances. Interestingly, honey, already known for its taste and medicinal properties, played a dual role as a natural preservative. Embalming tender measures of dates or nuts within its sticky guise, honey extended their shelf life, its intrinsic sugars retaining the fecundity of fruits preserved within alabaster jars, ready to be unleashed during festive indulgences or solemn ceremonies. The preservation of wine and beer required both scientific awareness and practical adaptation. Amphorae, sealed with pitch, protected the brews from contamination, an innovation not unlike today's bottling and cellaring. Picture the faintly cool interiors of storehouses and cellars, shadows dancing on aged vessels as they guard their liquid treasure against the ever-pressing warmth of the outdoorser. Quiet resilience imbued with the promise of future mirth. Idle speculation among historians seeks to quantify how standardized or varied these methods were between regions, raising questions about local innovations versus shared techniques through merchant networks. Did different parts of Egypt experiment with culinary practices influenced by climate and culture, or remain largely unified? Such queries invite you deeper into the labyrinth of ancient craft. In this grand scheme of storing life's abundance, the subtle wisdom of the Egyptians emerges in full relief. They understood nature's whimsy and met it with not just ingenuity but reverence, reinforcing their educational scaffolds upon which generations learned and innovated. As you stand within these portals of preservation, Their ancient teachings ripple into the present, providing insights that resonate within today's sustainability movements, seeking harmony between consumption and conservation. From sustainable seafood to seasonal beverages, echoes of those principles hum within the global symphony as modern society, once again, embraces the delicate balance of survival, inspired by centuries-old reliability inherent in storing life's vitality. Reflect on the metaphor of preservation itself, not simply as an act of safeguarding quantities, but maintaining legacies passed through inherited traditions, where grace and craft entwine in perpetual motion. Through every stored grain, every salted fish, each burst of dried fruit, you glimpse the spirit of continuity that far transcends any single feast and everlasting dance imparted by nature, stored and graciously savored upon life's sprawling table. As you weave through the intricate narratives of ancient Egyptian life, you find yourself facing the potent relationship between food and power. Here, control over the production and distribution of food was more than just economics. It was an authoritative tool wielded by the pharaohs, a means of reinforcing their divine right to rule and cementing their place at the top of the societal hierarchy. Envision standing at the edge of a vast agricultural estate, the fertile fields of the Nile Delta, stretching far into a horizon kissed by golden sunrises. These lands were not only sources of sustenance but also symbols of wealth and power. The pharaoh, revered as a living god, was seen as both the provider and protector, overseeing the allocation of land, crops, and resources to ensure the prosperity of Egypt and its people. In this structured society, granaries were not only storehouses of grain, but also vaults of power. By controlling these resources, the pharaoh dictated not just the quantity of food consumed, but the rhythm of life itself. Picture immense stores of wheat and barley being meticulously recorded and guarded by trusted officials each sack, a piece in the larger political game that upheld the pharaoh's reign. Imagine the scenes unfolding in royal courts, where scribes sit poised with their reeds, chronicling the flow of agricultural bounty. Everything from the size of the harvest to the distribution of rations was carefully documented, forming the backbone of the pharaoh's economic strategies. In this way, the food supply was tied directly to the kingdom's stability, an enduring testament to the sophistication and foresight of ancient governance. Adding a curious quirk, you find farmers, standing along the Nile's banks, worshipping the river with offering symbolic gestures, acknowledging that while earthly power lay with the rulers, the Nile itself was the ultimate provider. These rituals reinforced the layered power dynamics between man, nature, and divinity that defined Egypt's societal mosaic. Controlling food was not only about provisioning, it was also a pragmatic extension of political clout. During festivals, feasts were both a show of power and a way to secure loyalty. Imagine the grand banquet halls where guests, by invitation, partook in sumptuous meals, a token of the pharaoh's benevolence, a fancy way of tightening fealty to the crown under a cascade of shared indulgence. Scholars have debated the nuances of this food power paradigm. Was it a conscious strategy by the ruling elite, or did it evolve naturally as societal structures became more complex and sophisticated? These discussions invite new reflections on how Egypt managed a delicate balance of nourishment, governance, and spiritual guidance. As you ponder the gravity of this relationship between sustenance and sovereignty, a profound understanding emerges. Food was more than mere sustenance. It was woven into Egypt's fabric of governance, culture, and cosmic order. It represented continuity, both in life's everyday cycles and in the unbroken reign of the pharaohs who wielded it as both promise and authority. In today's world, the echoes of such power dynamics reverberate through agricultural industries and global trade alike, reinforcing that though landscapes shift and technologies evolve, the essence of man's relationship with food remains deeply ingrained in societal structure, delicate web where sustenance, sovereignty, and survival intertwine. As you reflect on the elegance with which this ancient civilization marshaled resources, exploited ideas, and maintained cultural dominance, it becomes clear that food, in all its myriad facets, was a linchpin maintaining balance across time's spectrum. It remains an invitation to consider how power, privilege, and providence operate within our own narratives, reflecting the primal truth that every grain and loaf transcends mere physicality, holding within layers of meaning that have shaped, and will continue to shape, human societies across the ages. As evening descends on the festive halls of ancient Egypt, you embark on a journey through tales of gluttony and excess that colored and often defined the grandeur of Pharaoh's feasts. These stories, both cautionary and delightful, paint vivid pictures of indulgence, where the scale of opulence often dazzled and occasionally mocked the limits of human appetite. Imagine an opulent banquet overflowing with dishes, each more lavish than the last. Tables groan under the weight of glistening roasted fowl, platters of exotic fruits, and vessels brimming with spiced wine. The flicker of torchlight dances across golden goblets and polished platters, creating an ambience of warmth and magnificence. The air is thick with the aroma of spices and roasted meats, a sensory feast reflecting the might and luxury of the Egyptian elite. But within these halls, the line between indulgence and excess is a fine one. Picture noblemen and women reclining on cushions, their laughter rising above music as they continue to eat long past the point of satiety. For the pharaohs and their court, such displays were not just about pleasure, they were statements of status, demonstrating the ability to command and consume resources on an extravagant scale. A quirky dimension to these gatherings is the playful spirit with which certain attendees would engage. Stories tell of competitions to see who could consume the largest portions, using humor to underscore gluttony's absurdity. Imagine the friendly jeers and theatrical gasps as another dish is cleared, stacking more empty plates into the feast's towering monument of indulgence. This culture of excess was sometimes satirized in Egyptian literature, where exaggerated depictions of overindulgence warned against the pitfalls of greed. The humorous portrayal of guests overly imbibing wine served to remind society that while feasting was part of life's pleasure, unchecked indulgence held the potential for folly, a narrative mirrored across cultures through time. The contrast between luxurious courtly feasts and more modest communal gatherings highlights how indulgence could embody different meanings based on context. While the elite reveled in abundance, drawing lines between prestige and opulence, for the common folk, excess might be about an extra helping or a rare bit of imported hunya pleasure, resonant with its own richness. Historians often debate the degree to which such feasts were purposefully extravagant, designed to project an image of limitless wealth, or if accidental abundance emerged from an earnest celebration of harvest and craft. As with many facets of history, the interplay between practicality and perception sparks vibrant academic discourse. Yet, as you wander these hallowed halls in the wake of a great feast, the balance between necessary indulgence and conscious restraint emerges, offering insights into the human condition. Through tales that alternate between awe and admonition, the underlying message becomes clear. While lavish abundance can celebrate prosperity, it must be balanced with wisdom and reflection, lest indulgence transforms from splendor to satire. In the modern world, echoes of these events cascade through extravagant parties and holiday feasts, where opulence sometimes thrives not just for food's sake, but for the memories entwined within them. Even as times change, the relationship between abundance, pleasure, and discipline remains an enduring theme, requiring navigation across history's tables. Reflecting upon these stories, you see beyond the surface of roast chickens and endless goblets, uncovering a narrative about human nature itself, a dance between decadence and discretion woven into each bite, whispering to us through time about life's delicate balance that each feast, grand or humble, invites us to seek. Like the banquet of tales set before the senses, the invitation is not just to consume, but to ponder the layers of experience captured in each morsel, savoring the deeper wisdom they too bring to the feast. Imagine yourself standing before the grand tapestry of time, the whirring cycle of seasons in ancient Egypt, each with its distinctive character, weaving a backdrop for the pharaoh's feasts. Here, amid the rhythm of the Nile and the arc of the sun, the feast takes on hues dictated by nature's calendar, as the natural world orchestrates abundance. Picture a verdant field, basking under the burgeoning light of the vernal equinox, the earth awash with the blush of new growth. Here, the feast draws on the first tender shoots, ripe for the celebration of spring, when the Nile's waters begin their retreat, leaving fertile soil in their wake. It's a time of renewal, reflected in meals rich with greens, figs, and pungent herbs, a culinary homage to the endless cycle of life awakening anew. Consider how each season cultivates its own gastronomic palate, each shaped by what the earth offers. In the searing heat of summer, as the sun's embrace tightens, the menus lean toward lighter fare, with cooling cucumbers and melons offering sweet relief. You can almost taste the crisp, chilled sweetness that serves as both refreshment and indulgence, a whisper of shade under the high desert sun. As the season shifts towards the cooling breezes of autumn, the Nile's flood recedes, yielding abundance once more. Meals take on a heartier character, with grains harvested and stored, meat smoked or salted for longevity. Fruit preserved at the peak of ripeness finds its place on tables, adorned for harvest festivals, each bite a testament to nature's generosity and human ingenuity in conserving it. The chill of winter prompts comfort, drawing families to share roots and tubers, beets, onions, and garlic stored against the cold. Meals become rich with stews and hearty breads, fortifying the spirit against the subtle chill of Egyptian winters. Mulled wine, spiced with cloves and cinnamon, offers warmth, creating a seasonal celebration that moves from florals to hearty spice atop tables gathered in gratitude. A quirky note of charm arises with the niliometer, tool used by Egyptians to measure the river's rise and fall. It became symbolic of fortune, dictating not only crop success but calendrical events. New harvests depended upon its precision, and feasts aligned with these measurements, making each table setting as much about nature's caprice as human expertise. Historians ponder the impact of these seasonal rhythms on social rituals. Did the timing affect worship and feasting, or merely dictate these elements? Was there a synchronicity between celestial patterns and celebratory life, or did necessity bind their calendars more firmly to life's practical rhythms? This dialogue highlights the elegance with which nature's clock guided social rhythm, weaving fragments from time into feast's cyclical dance. As you navigate this seasonal journey, you appreciate the delicate balance held within each ingredient as it progresses from field to feast, underscoring the relationship between human aspiration and natural cycles. It serves as a living lesson that aligns needs and splendor with seasonal essence, ensuring life's continuity through harmony with Earth's cradle. In today's world, though technology allows us to enjoy any fruit or grain year-round, there's a gentle nod to our origins in movements that embrace seasonal eating. It reflects a timeless principle, teaching us to cherish cycles, appreciating the rhythm of nature's hands. Standing amidst the wheel of Egypt's seasonal songs, you sense the eternal dialogue between earth and humanity, articulated through the simple act of feasting. As each season carries its own stories across history's banquet table, it invites a deeper embrace of the cyclical entwining artistry of life's harvests. Each balanced bite a reminder of the fruitful dance shared between people and the world in which they flourish. As you continue your journey, you amble into spaces where whispers of the past offer profound glimpses into the archaeological evidence of Pharaoh's feasts. Imagine treading softly through the sands of time, alongside nomadic winds carrying echoes of long-forgotten celebrations. Beneath the shifting deserts, remnants of elaborately orchestrated events lie waiting, preserved by Egypt's unyielding embrace. Archaeological sites across Egypt unlock doors to these ancient gatherings locations such as Karnak or Giza, where the smallest shards of pottery and remnants of grand dining halls whisper tales of feast and festivity. Picture yourself standing amid ruins, each stone and clay fragment a puzzle piece in the mosaic of Egyptian opulence. Engravings portraying lines of hieratic script that meticulously detail inventories with precision befitting a civilization in harmony with its land and larder. Imagine now a team of archaeologists painstakingly brushing sand away from a well-preserved altar, discovering there the burnt remains of ceremonial sacrifices, bones from fowl and cattle bearing witness to meals shared ages ago. Every artifact uncovers a layer of history, inviting educated guesses about the scale of these feasts, the hierarchy of their guests, and the grandeur enveloping their ceremonies within magnificent stone edifices cast to withstand the ages. Those who built, cooked and served, left traces in these hallowed grounds too. Slabs of stone engraved with the names of bakers and brewers reveal a story wrapped in dedication-working hands, memorialized within inscriptions that frame narratives about contribution and artistry. Ceremonial vessels found exude grandeur, the gilded edges faded, yet resonating with a whisper of shared merriment and sacred intent. A quirky find might involve discovering amphorae still sealed, revealing traces of age-old wine or a secret spice blend, offering a direct sensory link to the flavors of a time where every dish resonated with divine peals. That such items survive millennia is a testament to the ancient Egyptians' mastery of preservation as much as to their dining habits. Historians still differ in interpretations of these archaeological clues, debating whether certain sites were primarily for high ceremonies or more frequently utilized for routine government, dininga dialogue that enriches the pigments painted into the canvas of Egyptian social customs. Were these spaces from festivals spread out into the realms of routine or sacred vaults of specific sanctioned celebrations? The accumulated remnants offer more than solitary glimpses of luxury. They provide a holistic appreciation for the intricacies of Egyptian life, and the society elegantly positioned on the confluence between daily subsistence and grandiosity. Through labyrinths built for worship and discourse, collective memory shapes the lore bound within sunlit hieroglyphs etched across stones of immortality. As you explore these relics, the deconstruction of Pharaoh's feast illuminates not just meals shared, but the society that thrives on community and cosmic balance, resting upon unabated calicarts into eternity's cupped hands. The continuity between sites inspires new reflections on the dramatic interplay between identity, artistry, and sustenance, crafting Egypt's culinary and cultural legacy. Today, museums and historical studies serve as keepers of these treasures. Fragmented pieces coalesce into stories told within galleries, echoing with life beyond legend, nourishing contemporary understanding through time's evocative simplicity. Our view extends beyond, across vast plains where celebrations still echo from yesteryears, blending with the imagination of those who participate in Egypt's enduring banquet. From scattered relics to reconstruct triumphant days of kings and communities, you're reminded that each artifact resonates with nuances extending across the golden shores. Each pottery shard, each carved inscription, renders an echo immortalized a song, sung among sands flowing timelessly, reminding us that fragments of Pharaoh's feasts feed our continuous hunger for connection through that graceful bridge called time. Venturing further into the realm of ancient Egyptian artistry, you find yourself immersed within the vibrant tapestry of Pharaoh's feasts as they are immortalized in art and hieroglyphs. Picture yourself walking through the corridors of time, where the walls are alive with scenes richly painted or meticulously chiseled into the stony tableau, revealing the grandeur and significance of these opulent gatherings. These artworks serve as windows into a world where every stroke of pigment, every carved line, praises the cultural and spiritual essence woven into Egypt's feasting traditions. Imagine, if you will, the brilliant colors that once adorned the walls of tombs and temples, vivid depictions of tableaus, featuring long banquet tables, brimming with a cornucopia of delicacies, from fowl and fish to piled loaves of bread, reflecting the society's fondness for abundance. In these frescoes, you see diners reclining on lavish cushions, their gestures captured in motion, forever reaching towards a platter, sharing morsels with an invisible guest, drinking deeply from ornate cups. There's a dynamic celebration unfolding before your eyes. The artist's skill making this historic moment, immortal, a joyous feast captured like the melody of a timeless song, still echoing. Artists paid exquisite attention to detail, etching hieroglyphs that not only adorned but served to record the events. Scrolls unrolled across temple stones detail the intricate preparations, recipes, and even toasts exchanged between pharaoh and guest symbols, entwining meaning into each visual narrative. These texts are more than mere descriptions. They speak of the cultural symphony that food was in ancient Egypt, revered as both sustenance and ceremony within the flickering torchlight of history's banquet. Perhaps a particularly quirky illustration catches your eye: an exaggerated figure of a noble, with a belly humorously inflated, perhaps the artist's playful jest at indulgence, immortalizing human excess alongside divinity in the feast's sacred realm. Such light-heartedness often found its way into the narratives, infusing scenes with a relatable humanity that sees through the guise of status and decorum. A growing debate among scholars is the extent to which these visual feasts are exaggerations crafted for eternity. Were they merely aspirational, bearing idealized reflections meant for the gaze of the gods, or were they accurate depictions of daily and sacred life? Such debates underscore the interplay of art, ceremony, and historical interpretation, enriching the depth of these legendary portrayals. Moreover, monuments and tombs positioned along the Nile were not just chronicles, but deeply sacred spaces, offering feasts to gods, ancestors, and travelers from the netherworld, a captivating dialogue between life and afterlife, bound in artistic finesse. As you navigate this gallery of antiquity, the richness of these illustrations draws you into Egypt's layered legacies, revealing how the rhythm of life entwined with the divine through celebration. Each brushstroke, every chisel mark, reflects an enduring bond between culture and time, celebration at once grand and intimate, inviting viewers through centuries past to share in its timeless abundance. In today's museums and digital reconstructions, these feasts spring to life anew, allowing modern eyes to wander through their vibrant past, sparking curiosity and admiration. As galleries hum with echoes of ancient joy, visitors engage in a shared visual history that reminds them of art's timeless power to transcend epochs, nurturing bonds between people and their shared humanity. So, as you stand captivated by these exquisite portrayals, you are reminded of art's vital role as an eternal vessel of human expression. The visual feasts before you illustrate more than meals. They narrate the soul of a civilization. This dance between artist and epoch continues to illuminate realities both sacred and inviting, extending an eternal invitation to partake within the narrative of the Pharaoh's resplendent feasts, as vibrant today as back then, a call across time's canvas that invites all to the universal table of celebration. In exploring the grand tableau of Pharaoh's feasts, your journey brings you to an often overlooked yet crucial group, the women whose efforts were indispensable in coordinating these culinary spectacles. Imagine stepping into the quiet bustle behind the feast's grandeur, where women weave the social and culinary fabric with skill and grace, unseen yet pivotal. Within the palatial settings of ancient Egypt, women played multifaceted roles, their contributions extending far beyond the household kitchens into the complex orchestration of grand events. Picture a female overseer, directing servants with authority, her understanding of flavors and presentation, a delicate dance that ensures each dish is fit for a pharaoh. Her eye for detail ensures symphony and aesthetics in equal measure, orchestrating color and fragrance into an ethereal tapestry. Here, within the simmering centers of culinary activity, women are the carriers of tradition and innovation, a role reflected in culinary texts and oral traditions. With practiced hands, they master the subtleties of flavor, combining herbs and spices with intuition passed down through generations. Imagine the deft slicing of vegetables, the rhythmic pounding of spices, each act a note in the culinary melody they compose. Outside the kitchen, women are often responsible for the cultivation of herbs and garden produce, tending to small plots that supply fresh ingredients vital to the feast's success. Their knowledge of local flora and its medicinal properties enriches the philosophical aspect of food, intertwining nourishment with well-being as stewardship, honored and respected within the community. In social settings, women transcend roles as facilitators of cuisine to become adept negotiators and hosts, ensuring the seamless flow of festivities. It is through their diplomacy and social skills that anecdotes are shared, alliances cemented, and rivalries softened over shared bread, and winning a testament to the finesse with which they wield influence within societal frameworks. Amidst roles so vital yet often unsung, the narrative that emerges is one of strength and resilience. A quirky reminder of women's influence might be the presence of a favorite recipe or spice blend that bore the name of a famous noblewoman, passing through courts and generations, an inscrutable nod to their enduring culinary legacy. Scholars continue to debate the specifics of how deeply integrated women were within the formal hierarchy of feasting and food production. Were their roles informal yet influential, or more structurally defined? This line of inquiry enriches our understanding of gender dynamics within Egypt's sumptuous cultural context, illuminating the varied threads that wove together its social tapestry. In reflecting on their contributions, you realize the quiet yet profound power women wielded in shaping the feast. Ensuring its place within Egypt's gilded annals is one of harmonious celebration and sustenance. Their legacy, as much a part of history's feast as the courses served, carries forth timelessness and agency, too enduring to be confined to shadows. This insight parallels the modern transformation narrative, seeking equity while honoring heritage and evolution that bridges ancient lessons with today's cultural ambitions, amplifying voices often beneath the surface, yet intrinsically powerful. Through the bustling life of ancient kitchens and gardens, women of Egypt live on, guiding hands through ages, their contributions, once muted, now crescendo in a chorus that places them firmly into the heart of history, enabling them to share their mosaic of experience and influence. In your journey through this grand tableau, their presence becomes undeniable, their roles interlaced with both the feast's immediate splendor and the memory it creates, inviting today's world to listen and incorporate their whispers into the narrative of humanity. Each gathering bears their songs, grace intertwined with tradition's pulse-making, their legacy an ongoing odyssey, celebrating the union of sustenance, community, and artistry through timelessness. As the sun sets beyond the horizons of the ancient world, casting long shadows across the sand, you delve into the rich tapestry of myths and legends that surround the feasts of ancient Egypt. These stories, woven through time and culture, blur the line between history and myth, inviting you to explore a world where the dining table becomes a stage for divine encounters and fantastical tales. Imagine a scene where priests gather in dimly lit temples, their chants echoing against stone walls adorned with hieroglyphs of gods and pharaohs, partaking in grand celestial banquets. These myths serve not only as spiritual nourishment, but as reflections of societal values, illustrating the divine importance of feasting and abundance in Egyptian cosmology. Among these narratives, you might encounter the legend of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, whose soul was believed to return during the harvest, blessing the land with fertility and abundance. Feasts were conducted in his honor, rich with symbolism, as worshippers offered food and wine to ensure his favor. Such gatherings became both a celebration of life and a remembrance of death's place within its cycle, not merely a feast, but a divine rite. Another enchanted tale tells of Isis, sister and wife of Osiris, who, disguised as a mortal, attended a grand feast held in a king's honor. Stories suggest her presence at these feasts ensured the king's prosperity, a mark of divine endorsement that elevated the ruler's stature in both temporal and spiritual realms. A particularly quirky myth involves the god Set, Osiris's brother and sometimes adversary, who crashes a celestial feast, his antics providing both comic relief and warnings against hubris. These playful narratives underscore the essence of balance and moderation, reminding mortals of the delicate balance between indulgence and consequence, timeless lesson refracted through divine mischief. Such tales are more than mere entertainment. They are a reflection of the beliefs woven into the fabric of everyday life and politics. While historians sift through fragments to differentiate historical fact from mythological embellishment, the debate continues. Were these narratives carefully constructed political tools, or did they evolve organically through the blending of oral history with tradition? Artists portrayed these legendary feasts in tombs and temples, their frescoes rich with colors that once danced under flickering lamplight. These depictions are more than artistic expression. They are a tribute to the power of storytelling, embodying the dynamic interplay between humanity and the divinia, visual continuation of an oral tradition that handed down wisdom across millennia. As you reflect on these stories, you see the enduring power of myth in shaping cultures and societies, offering guidance through allegory and metaphor. Today, we find echoes of such narratives in the tales that bolster modern celebrations and holidays, where stories enrich and transform gatherings into more than mere feasts. When you consider these myths in the context of Pharaoh's banquets, they're more than decorative. These stories were living components of Egyptian ideology, providing context and significance to the sumptuous display of wealth and power governed by celestial oversight. In your journey through Egypt's legendary tellings, you awaken to the understanding that such myths, tales abundant in both celebration and caution, remind us of universal truths transcending time. They invite us to consider the paradoxes of life, the interplay of joy and tragedy, indulgence and sacrifice, all played out with dishes both real and imagined. As the stars blanket the Egyptian sky, you understand that these myths, interwoven with history, connect us as storytellers traversing through space and time, with tales that continue to color and nourish our own life's feast, drawing from an abundant legacy as enduring as the sands eternal. In every fork and flame, these stories persist, defining not just the mythology of times long past, but also the essence of our human endeavor, reminding us, with every feast, to savor the blend of history, myth, and community that infuses each moment, an eternal dance celebrated across the ages. As your journey through ancient Egypt draws to a gentle close, you find yourself deeply enveloped in the final scenes of a grand feast that encapsulates the spirit of this storied civilization. Imagine the echo of laughter softly fading and the warm glow of candles dimming as the banquet winds down. The air is laden with the aromas of a feast well enjoyed, lingering like whispered stories of the evening's revelry. Reflect on the transformative legacy of these feasts, a celebration of life, abundance, and the intricate dance with the divine. As silence slowly envelops the great halls, you sense a profound connection to the people who once thrived along the Nile, their lives interwoven with the rhythms of the earth and sky. The feast was never just about decadence, it was a testament to unity and human connection. Remember those who prepared, served, and celebrated each role essential in creating these timeless gatherings. The musicians' final notes resonate in the quietude, forming a tapestry that echoes through the heart, reminding you of art's power to unite across time. As the night deepens, the time comes to tread away softly from this land of legends, where the sands have held stories with infinite grace and patience. The imagery of grand feasts illuminates your path, each bite and sip more than sustainancy, ethereal passage into understanding the complexities of human civilization. Today, these echoes reach us through art, stories, and shared meals, inviting us to enrich our own journeys. Just as the ancient Egyptians embraced the bounty bestowed upon them, we are reminded to appreciate the harvests of our lives, enriched by connectedness, gratitude, and tradition. Amid the sands of time, the lessons gleaned from Pharaoh's feasts gently advise us to honor balance, cherish abundance, and cultivate community. As the final candle's glow dwindles, we bow to the past's wisdom, embracing the continuity of life's passagey and eternal feast, awaiting beyond each horizon. And so, as you find your place in this cyclical dance with nature and history, let the sands settle and the stories whisper you back to the present, carrying a piece of this ancient reverie with you. May it nurture your days and inspire your nights. Breathing deeply, you relax with the memory of pharaohs and their majestic soirees, like notes of a lullaby drifting through the chambers of time. Sweet dreams,